The quarantine and the isolation for the coronavirus pandemic was a week old. This happened when people were still working from their jobs, and the virus was nothing more than simple yellow news. Even the same high officials say that there was nothing to fear in this complicated situation. The story begins with Don Javier, who was returning from work late at night. It was approximately 11 o'clock. At that day in particular had been a very heavy and full of work. So he was extremely tired. Lately had not been able to sleep well, and the little rest he had in his work didn't help much. He was walking on the left side walk of Avenue 35, an avenue where there are some train tracks that are quite old, but it's still used. While Don Javier was walking, he began to feel cold, and that for some reason everything around him seemed to have become darker. The feeling of being in danger quickly became present. He turned in all directions to see if someone was following him, but there was no one anywhere. There was only him. He thought it was just an illusion, product of his tired mind, but that thought was interrupted by a sound. The sound of a frantic and sharp laugh with small pauses. It seemed that the laughter was produced by a ghost, and the laughter was heard in front of him. Javier thought, "Oh man, I'm just tired. Javier tried to force his view to see in that darkness, and he could see a black lamp. And the more he saw it, he could notice that it had 4 legs. He thought, it's only a dog." But in that, the laughter was heard once again. Now he could realize that the laughter came from that black lamp. And with more attention, he realized how big that animal was, and that long legs. Was in that moment his eyes had become accustomed to the darkness. He could see that they ended in hopes, and that seemed to be more like a ghost. Black in color, even darker than all the gloomy surroundings around it, with huge crooked horns, the type of which ended up pointing straight ahead. Then he saw how 2 lights began to shine. The glow they emitted was a red color. They looked like 2 cigarettes lit in the night. He could feel the heavy look of that thing. Then he ran out in the avenue where no car was passing, and as he did, he could hear behind him as that now seemed to be crying and screaming with that dismal dull sound. Like a light at the end of a tunnel, he saw the light from a pole beside of a shop, which was still open. When he arrived, he was relieved to find himself entirely safe. He saw that the owner of the shop was surprised and asked him if he was alright. He answered that he was, and as a last action, he turned towards the tracks and could see the eyes of that thing, which this time seemed to be standing off its 2 legs. It started to move away in a very bizarre way, seemed to be dancing, and then got lost in that darkness. When he got home, He couldn't sleep, and the next day he seemed to be like a zombie, apart from being scared by everything. 3 days later, he went to the store of one of his friends to tell him that strange anecdote. Then it was there that I heard that strange story, and even though I was incredulous, he looked completely terrified. Seemed so real. It convinced more and more. The owner of the store listened to him attentively. He didn't seem to be doubting what his friend was saying. Strange things have been happening here lately, especially on this side of the tracks. But what are we going to do here? Then Don Javier started to laugh, and then they start to talk about other things. When I left the store, I was perplexed, and I was thinking about that story all day long. It's not the first time I heard things happen in that place. It's a collective suggestion, or there's really something in that place that has decided to manifest itself. Anyway, it's just an urban legend. Or maybe not. The strongest and oldest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and stronger kind of fear is the fear of the unknown. Howard Phillips Lovecraft.